Welcome to the CannaConversations blogcast, part video blog, part podcast, aimed to bridge the gap between the cannabis industry and the patients it serves. Join the ladies of Midwest Canna Concierge as they bring everyone to the table, from cultivation experts and dispensary staff to lawyers, doctors, and medical marijuana patients, to have open conversations around all things cannabis related.
Hello, hello.
Hi guys, welcome. Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday. We are in November. Ooh, that's kind of crazy to think about. That's so weird. We are here with Kali Casale from GTI or Rise here in Ohio. Kali, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got started in the industry here and what
absolutely.
you're doing now?
I went to school for healthcare administration, studied at Bowling Green State University. Primarily after graduation, I worked in oncology and administrative roles. Formerly worked over at the Cleveland Clinic, and really the reason that I dove into cannabis, I've always been a strong advocate for it. I used it for myself, and I had many family members who really benefited from the program. Of course, outside of the state of Ohio before it was legally medicinal in our state. And I just really wanted to be able to have an impact specifically on cancer patients, since that's where my previous experience was, just giving, one patient some hope, a different form of medication, wherever they are in their journey, just a way for them to get some relief, and have always been a strong advocate. And I'm really happy to be a part of the program and keep the needle moving on a daily basis.
That's awesome. I love that you have that background.
So where are your locations?
Go ahead.
My internet, just so everybody knows, I told Danielle, but my internet is very spotty here. So I might disappear and then come back and things like that. So just don't mind me. I'm just gonna floating in and out.
Totally good.
Where do you have some locations? Like, is this a multi-state operator, or do you guys just focus on Ohio?
Yeah, so GTI's retail locations go by the name of Rise. We are a multi-state operator. We do have locations in Florida. We have them in Illinois, PA, Massachusetts, Maryland. I'm primarily located in Ohio. So then the locations that I'm responsible for in my territory are starting over from the west side of Ohio. We have our Toledo location, then moving over to Lorain, Ohio. We have one on Prospect Avenue in Cleveland, in downtown Cleveland, which is awesome. And then we have 2 locations within the city of Lakewood as well.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work for you. So what exactly, and you may have said this already, but what exactly, like your role with your background being what it is, how does that translate to what you are responsible for with Rise or GTI?
I think a lot of just the experience that I had within healthcare, understanding HIPAA and the strength of compliance that you have to have these medical programs running in the state. You got to keep things running smoothly, doing it compliantly, but then also just taking some of that passion that I have and the compassion that goes into your dealing with sick people, whether they have a cancer diagnosis or Alzheimer's or chronic pain, just being able to be compassionate with them and understand that this is an unfamiliar journey, and they just really need that guidance. So, whether that's patient education, helping them understand cannabis and how it works within our bodies, or navigating and taking that experience and delegating it over to some of our really awesome expert staff who can do product knowledge, our pharmacists. So, I'm kind of taking that liaison role and figuring out, what are those questions that those patients have, and how can we make sure that those questions get answered to help them every step of the way.
I love that. So I know from personal experience, I know that the rules here in Ohio are extremely tight. They're very strict, and dispensaries are very limited on the content and the verbiage and stuff of what can go out. So how does that, obviously it creates all kinds of challenges for you to reach your patients. So how have you been handled? Like, how do you handle that?
Yeah, you really have to stay on your toes and become innovative. Everything that we do from the dispensary side has to be governed and approved through the State Board of Pharmacy. So really just working 30, 60, 90 days ahead to make sure that you're planning and you're submitting a very thorough plan to them of what your strategy and your education is going to be for patients. All of our presentations have to be all of the events that we attend in the community. So, you really have to be very organized in planning because you never want to put yourself in a position that you're not able to be in. But at the end of the day, our mission is to break the stigmas, get patient and physician education out there. So just staying on top of what's going on in our communities and then looking for, what are we missing? What education pieces are our patients looking for? Is it understanding the 90-day supply that we have in Ohio? Is it, the product education? Is it the renewal process? So really staying in touch with our patients and what they need. So then we can plan ahead to work under those compliant restraints with the State Board of Pharmacy to stay on top of those.
For sure. Terpenes. We want to know about terpenes.
Yeah.
We want
the expert, but let's talk about them.
Yeah.
We love terpenes.
I mean, I try to coach patients on understanding what terpenes do what and which ones they should look for in their flower or in any of their products, I should say. But the cultivators don't always include that information, and dispensaries aren't always on top of including that information in the product descriptions on their menus, which creates a challenge because then you don't know until you either buy it and see it on the back of the package, or you do your own diving in on the internet trying to find any other patient review of a product to find out what terps are in it. But is that something that, I know that you're not right in the store, so you don't know for sure, you don't have that type of experience, but do you think that that's something, I don't know if it's just myself because I have the background knowledge of that and am continuously looking for that information, or is that something we're seeing as common? Because especially here in Ohio where it's all medical, if we're trying to make it a medically based program and product base, wouldn't we want that information?
Absolutely. And
available?
Terpene is so important. I think a lot of our patients come in to the dispensary and they're looking for THC percentage, if there's CBD found in there, and there's so much hype around, getting the highest testing THC. And that's not really the only thing that is, important in our cannabis strains, and really learning about the terpenes. Linalool is my favorite terpene. That's what's found in lavender and creates those relaxing, soothing effects that you could experience. So, having our patients be, knowledgeable on, those terpenes that are listed in the products. I will say, since the program started, it wasn't as accessible on the packaging, but patients and staff in the dispensaries have really communicated the need for the terpene education. So you will see it more often on menus, on the products. It just depends on cultivator, processor, and if they're willing to put that information out there. But I think, as you said, it's important. And if we can advocate to have that access and just really that, you look at ingredient labels all the time.
Right. Or even if all of their QR codes would just take you to the test, you have to have it. I know that the testing is done. We know that has to be done. So even if the barcodes took you to that batch, the COA from that or whatever, I don't know. I just think that if you want the information, it should be there.
It should be there, especially when it's so important. We wouldn't not put the percentage of THC.
Right. And we all know that it's about way more than just the THC content of a product. So
it sure is.
So GTI just opened or is working on opening their grow, right? You guys are expanding from 5 retail stores to now the grow will be there.
Yes, we're going to have cultivation. I actually was able to do a little tour 2 weeks back. It's very minimal at this point, nothing fancy going on. We're shooting for the end of 2022. Keep in mind that changes very, very often with construction and getting all of the licenses and approvals in place. but we're super excited. So you will be able to find our Rhythm flower in our stores once Grow is up and running, and also at our other chains outside of just Rise throughout the state as well.
Oh, I should have worn I have my Rhythm hoodie still. I should have worn my blue Rhythm hoodie. I forgot about it. It's in my closet. I wear it all the time. It's so soft. I love it.
You never have too many sweatshirts.
Of course, right?
So you mentioned the Grow at the end of 2020.
Yes, Grow
Be ready to distribute.
That's the goal.
Yeah, sorry, you guys.
That's okay. Connection.
Okay.
Yes, the goal is to, we're building the facility now. I'm not sure exactly when those beautiful plants are going to be, in the soil and doing their thing and growing. But we're shooting to have the harvest ready and accessible by the end of 2022.
That's great. That's one of the things as far as Michigan, they kind of like dropped the ball in regards to their commercial cultivation, and that by the time they really had a supply issue, because by the time, there are caregivers that are allowed up there, but that they were able to supply the dispensaries up to a certain point, but state cut it off too soon. So what ended up happening is the state licensed places were not in a position to support the dispensaries, and so product was running out for several months. So you would have like
the trickle effect of
yes,
other issues.
Exactly. So that's why it's great to hear that you guys are putting that into your plan, and the date you're going to be in a position to distribute. So that's going to make such a difference.
And we're really hoping, prices have came down since we first, had the program start. And I hope that as more cultivators and processors are getting their certificates of operation and they're able to have more products available to our patients, I hope that those prices just continue to drop, because we want access to all at an affordable rate. And I think the program itself, everyone's really trying to work within those constraints to get these operations up and running. So at the end of the day, we can get this medication to our patients' hands.
Well, for sure. And I suspect you guys are already thinking ahead to full legalization and prepping for what that then could potentially look like. Like, it's exciting and big enough to be getting into and up and running and everything in the medical market, but then to think that the whole country is close to full legalization, in my opinion. So I think that it's only a matter of time until we see it here in Ohio, especially I'm in Toledo. So being so close to Michigan, it's like insane to me to think the world of difference, like the completely different markets.
Just drive to a different state and it's a different operation.
Yeah.
We get so much, in the industry where, outsiders. I was just at an expo for one of the Lorain County chambers, and people were coming up to my table just like, so when is it going to go legal? When is it going to be adult use? As if I have that answer,
right?
Just 360 days left and it'll happen. And,
no big deal.
We're at the mercy as much as everyone publicly knows. I do think that we're getting the right people and the right seats advocating for, right? The stigmas are changing. People are seeing the use in it. They're seeing medical benefits from it. So I'm hoping that we can just learn from these other states like Michigan and Illinois, in California, how are they operating and how can we make that program here in Ohio be successful? We have a lot of work, but I'm we'll be there one day.
I agree. And I think that there's always going to be a place, regardless of adult use legalization. I think there's always going to be a place for the patient education for the people that want to know, even if you don't have, I say it all the time, even if you don't have like one of the qualifying conditions, or you're not like a licensed card holder, or that sounds weird, a card holder or whatever. But I think even rec users are medical users. Like, you're still getting the medicinal benefit of it. So if even rec users want to learn the therapeutic effects or why it makes them feel this way, there's so much room for that. There will never not be a place for it.
Not at all. And I'm really, excited personally, although that I am, employed by a program that is for medical, card holders only in the program, but I'm looking forward to us having adult use because I want the education gaps to just be bridged.
Yeah.
Talked about this so many times, the constraints that we have, and the CTR doctors, they are governed by the medical board. Dispensaries are governed by the State Board of Pharmacy. So I can't legally go and work with a CTR doc and do education. And I think that we need to be able to do education together to bring that education to our patients.
Agreed.
Need the full circle.
Agreed.
All the goal at the end is to take care of these patients, get them the right medication. So whether that's the terpene education, the entourage effect of CBD and THC, dosing, what types of strains work better with different diagnoses, I think that we're lacking because we can't get out there and all work together. So hopefully, if and when adult use does happen, then we have more of that creative ability to go out and just bridge those gaps of education.
For sure. And that's kind of what we're hoping to do here with Midwest CannaConversations, is to be able to help bridge that gap and fill in where the doctors aren't necessarily going out on their own to do, which I'm not trying to knock any doctors. They're busy. They have a lot going on, and I get it. But that gap from where they're like, okay, here's your card, go to the store. And the store is kind of like, okay, well, I can give you the education that I can, but my hands are also kind of tied on what I can say. So where are they to look? And then they turn to the internet, or for some of these senior citizens, they don't they're not technological savvy, and they don't have the tools or the skills to get on and do that research and really dive into it. And not only that, dissect what is real and what's not. And it's difficult. So hopefully we're able to help bridge that a little bit. And that's kind of a goal with getting CannaConversations going, is to be able to use that as a platform to get the info out there that we can. And then on our end, Amanda will be able to cover like the educational pieces that aren't able to be handled elsewhere. So we're going to try to fill in some of those gaps and bridge a few of those openings for us here.
You guys are doing great things. Let's keep the education. Let's keep empowering.
Yeah. Kelsey used to say this all the time, and I think she heard it from somebody else in the industry: a high tide raises all ships, or a high tide raises all boats, or something like that. So we're all working for the same mission. We'll just keep it going. I know that you just did a kickball event for GTI. How did that go? Tell me about it.
Oh my goodness, it was so much fun. So it was our first annual Cannabis Kickball Classic. We did it for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we raised, I called it Kicking for a Cure. We opened it up to the cannabis industry. So that was all dispensaries, cultivators, and processors were invited. We put together 10 different teams. We had, I believe, 7 different industry teams together, and a total of 8 sponsors within the industry. We raised $3,500, and
that's amazing.
All is going to the Gathering Place. So that's a local cancer organization. They have a location in Westlake, Ohio, and Beachwood, Ohio.
Okay, I was going to say, I think they have one near Toledo.
They might have, know that with the pandemic, they really started doing like hybrid programs and really extending their reach. What's really great about them is they have so many different programs that are available to cancer patients of all diagnoses, but not only them, but their families. So, think about, children and how they're affected by their mother or their father being diagnosed. And they have free programs for kids to go to camps to keep those kids just, in positive programs to keep patients uplifted with, wigs and beauty resources and art classes, art therapy. So, I really wanted to have the funds go to a local level with the patients that are coming through our doors,
For sure. That's awesome. I love that.
It was fun. Kickball was a hit. I didn't realize how competitive people would get. It was really
makes me think of dodgeball.
To the winners, Fireland Scientific were the champs. So
great job,
Fireland Scientific.
They've got some good flour. They have one of my favorite flowers right now. Well, they don't have it. I was so sad I saw it. They turned it into a concentrate, and I haven't made my switch to waxes yet. I still am a flower. I still vape flower.
It's changed.
It is. And I just can't, can't bring myself to commit to a new device yet. I don't know. But white papaya from Firelands.
Oh
so
yeah,
good.
it's one of my favorites.
Highly recommended if you ever come across it. Yeah. So what else? What do you have coming down the pipeline? Then I saw a post recently on the Rise Ohio page about several events in the lineup.
Yeah, we have 2 more events coming up in November. We're going to host these virtually. So we're going to be doing a Getting Cozy with Incredibles virtual event.
What is that going to look like?
So we're going to have our sales team get together and do product education about our Incredibles line. And then we'll have our pharmacist, Dr. Katie Pack, there going over methods of administration. She can answer dosing questions because, edibles can be
Tricky.
to find that right dosage. So we have gummies and we have chocolates, and then we also have microdosing tarts within the Incredibles fleet. So we're just telling people, tune in at 3:30 on November 23rd. Bring your favorite cup of tea or hot chocolate and get cozy and just learn about Incredibles.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then the second event is on the 30th of November. So that's going to be a talk specifically on Alzheimer's and cannabis in patients. So again, we'll have our pharmacist there to really, drill down how cannabis works within the body and how it can also be beneficial for Alzheimer's patients.
I love Katie. She is amazing. You mean these?
There we go. Yes, there they are.
I had the tart one, or these are the tart ones. I also had the mint ones. Both of them are great. They're delicious.
Yeah. I mean, it's seriously,
I love them.
They're 2 milligrams, right? I believe.
Yeah. 2 or 5, I can't remember.
Great option for, you don't want that, 10
actually it's
dose.
I don't know. I think it's 2. We're going to go with 2 because
I
that
think
sounds
it's
right.
2.5.
I'm looking at a lot of numbers right now and it's taking time.
It's been a little while. So you got to tune in.
Yeah.
To learn about the different milligrams.
Yeah. So I want to pick your brain on this. So I want to help with this. I'm going to help with this somehow. I want to be able to. Yeah, that sounds fun because I so often get that question, how to dose or where to start or how to instruct people. And it's not that I always tell people start low, go slow. You have to, you can't take it out of you, but you can always take more.
You can always take more.
Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. And Katie is really great. I used to work with her in the store. Well, when she would come to Toledo, we had worked a couple shifts together. Yeah, that'll be fun. We'll definitely be joining for that. Do you know the date of that?
Yes. So that one is November 23rd at 3:30 p.m. And you can find the link on Eventbrite to RSVP. It's free. Probably go for maybe 30 minutes and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So any patients that do join have specific dosing questions. Katie can, give her best judgment on really starting low and slow, learning more about the Incredibles product line.
That's right before Thanksgiving too. Did you guys do that on purpose?
A little bit.
I love it. Good thinking.
Gotta get cozy.
Well, yeah. And Amanda, I've had this conversation with you and Kelsey in the past, but edibles for me, I don't have diagnosed gastroparesis, but I have a lot of intestinal issues. And when I eat a lot, or I can't get myself to feel full, or I will be down. I'll be struggling. But edibles have always, for me personally, my personal dose, I take 20 milligrams with a heavy meal because that is what keeps my system good. Not telling nobody that's my dose. That's not where people should start. Will know why I say that. But it's always helped me digest food better, and it's helped my appetite be better. I also I don't necessarily get the munchies as much with flour anymore because I use it all the time. But when I take an edible, I have more of an appetite, which then is even better because that's when my intestines are nice and calmed down from that edible and can digest the food that I'm eating to the best of its ability. And so you guys hosting this event and teaching people about edibles right before they're about to stuff their faces with food, good call. It'll be good.
I love it.
That's awesome. And
Yeah,
then what
tune
was
in.
the second event you said? The Alzheimer's event?
Yeah, the second one's going to be on November 30th. That will be at 3 p.m. Again, you can find that on Eventbrite as well. That one's really geared towards Alzheimer's disease and how cannabis works within that disease. We'll have a couple different studies that Katie will go over. I use Katie. She loves it. She uses her pharmacy.
She's great at it though. She is.
She provides that next level of legitimacy of,
right.
You know, pharmacists talking about, you know, these medical, you know, effects that are associated with cannabis, but that's all towards Alzheimer's disease. And, you know, really, I think that there's a lot of people out there that see the 25 approved conditions and they're like, but how is this going to help with the disease? That's
right. Like what part? Yeah.
Memory.
It's not going to, there's no cure. It's not that this is curing it. Nobody's claiming to cure anything. Right.
Provide a better quality.
Yes. It's all about the quality of life and alleviating some of those symptoms. Yeah.
And a lot of it does go back to appetite, like you were saying, you know,
and sleep.
Anxiety. And while those might not be spelled out as approved, research backing that it reduces anxiety and helps sleep and gastrointestinal disorders.
I just had a patient or a potential new patient call in yesterday asking because she was calling for her husband and her husband has really bad sleep problems and the doctor put him on this heavy dose pill to get him to sleep and he doesn't really like it. It gives him all these other side effects or he's really drowsy. I can't remember exactly what she said, but he has tried cannabis in the past and it's really helped him sleep. And I was like, I'm sure that it has. And I agree that this is probably a really great option for you. However, that's not a qualifying condition. And so that was tough, but hopefully one day we'll have that. In my mind, it should just be available as a wellness tool for whoever wants to use it.
100%.
I just think that we need to we'll help get it there. We'll help break that stigma and move it forward a little bit.
Everyone's journey changes so quickly every day, every week, every month. You know, and if it could just be available to everybody, I think everyone would be a lot happier.
Yeah. And you know, I experienced it myself. When I was on all of the pills and going through that whole process of trying to figure it out. And this was years before our program in Ohio was up and running. You start feeling like a zombie when you're in this routine of like all these medications and all of like trying to find answers and just like trying to get through life. And you're like, this is not how I want to live. This is not the best way to do this. So I think that by having these events and helping people understand how it works and what it helps with and all the ways that it can be used, and it's not just a one pill cures all or a one pill, there's so much more to it than that. And although that can make it overwhelming, having opportunities to have events like this or chat with people and getting to put the experience out there, I think that's how we're going to help shatter that stigma.
And bridge that gap of education.
Absolutely. And then you and I were talking about recently, we were going to do a PTSD episode of CannaConversations. We're still in the works with that. So you and I will have to chat offline about that. But I'm looking forward to chatting with your friend. Who was the gentleman you introduced me to?
Robert Cowell.
Robert. Yeah. I'm excited to chat with him. So maybe we'll have you back on.
Tell me about Robert.
Yeah, Robert, I got connected with him last year. We did like a veterans educational event together. He is a veteran. He also has his own organization, Veterans Ending the Stigma. He's really doing a lot for, veterans within our communities. And then of course, being a patient and a cannabis advocate, he actually does sit, I don't know his full title, but he does work with the governing agencies in Ohio, just advocating for, communicating the concerns of the patients and the program and trying to be that liaison to hopefully see some change and just be there to communicate what can we do better, where are our issues. because this program's for patients. So we should be listening to the patient.
Absolutely. I love that.
There's a huge population of veterans that can benefit from cannabis. We see a ton of people come through that are veterans that are just, they're going to the VA hospital and just given a bunch of medication. That's where I see a lot of it coming, not as much anymore because they put some restrictions on the pharmaceuticals that can be prescribed, but we do have a lot of folks that don't even want to take them. And cannabis is a nice alternative, whether they have, you also notice that a lot of people are now entering into that as a choice where they weren't so hip to do it before.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of naturally where you get in your own personal journey where you're like, I've listened to my doctors, I've taken these medications, and now you have another list of side effects that you're experiencing outside of what you originally were getting these medications for. And I think, the veteran population, they need relief and they deserve it. They deserve to wake up and feel good every day and to have a restart. So, definitely any way that we can help them, just get, maybe they need to talk to a medical professional just to hear that cannabis is there and it's an option. But you're totally right, Amanda. More and more vets every day are coming through our doors and they're just, at least they can try it. And if it didn't work, they can say that they exhausted that option. And they're just looking for hope and relief.
For sure. They, and dispensary, veterans get discounts in dispensaries, don't they?
Yes. 30% off.
Yep. That's awesome.
Oh, that's a great deal.
And
the state gives them a discount as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, but you have to make sure that just so that Ohio patients know this or Ohio veteran patients know this, like you have to submit the right documentation to the Board of Pharmacy in order to get that discount put on your account. So don't just go into the dispensary and request it, although most RISE dispensaries will help you. Yeah. There is certain documentation that has to be provided and submitted to the board in order for that discount to be approved and added on. I just want to add that disclaimer, although we are not affiliated with the state. I just so all the information's out there.
Important. We actually, we offer 30% in our dispensary specifically. A lot of dispensaries have veterans discounts. I mean, if you do shop at RISE throughout the month of November, we're actually doing an additional 5% off. So you'll get 35% off.
Wow.
Just as a thank you to
their total order, right? Their whole purchase.
Their total order.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Anyway.
That's so cool. Awesome.
In Ohio, are you guys, when patients come in, are they able to smell the flower and such, or is that something from COVID?
They used to be able to. We used to have little sniff jars. You could see the flower. You could smell the flower. It was such a, I think, more fun experience.
It was.
But with COVID, we've really pulled that back. Just trying to be safe and cautious and making sure we're not cross-contaminating, from one patient touching and smelling. But so not at this moment. Hopefully one day when we're looking back at what we had as a normal.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if we're ever going to reach.
Yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to get to that point. But it seems to be that way in at least a few states. It's all prepackaged. And that's just, that they package it either at the facility or they package it off site. I'm not sure.
And in Ohio, everything comes prepackaged. There's no even the sniff jars come packed and sealed. Mm-hmm. Like nothing there's no open anything in the store. But yes, most cultivators used to send sniff jars with their bud, or it would get ordered with it or whatever. But yeah, I don't know that we're ever going to get to see that again, to be honest.
So with that being said, it's kind of tough to identify terpenes because you're only left with going off of what the package gives you, which would be THC content. If you're so lucky as to know the strains somewhat, you can kind of figure it out, but you can't rely on that because genetics can be unreliable. You know, anybody can say it's white widow as an example, but how do you really know it is?
Right.
You know, so genetics, terpenes it goes back to that, and trying to identify and maybe placing them, or, you know, transitioning into a place where we have that information available to folks outside of the THC and CBD contents.
Absolutely. I know from my own experience, if I sniff something and it's got that fruity smell, I know what terpenes are in there.
Right. The nose knows.
The nose knows.
Someone
needs to get
That's what I always say.
Personalized scratch and sniff strain sniffers.
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. Oh
What a great idea.
I feel like somebody did.
You better trademark that or patent it or something.
I would not be able to pull it off, so someone else has got to do it.
Right. I just have the idea. I want someone else to do it. I have so many of those. Yeah, I think that I want to say I actually feel like I might have seen that somewhere. Maybe on Galenas.
I don't know.
I don't know how accurate that could possibly be, though. Like, what do you?
Right. The chemistry that would go into.
Shoot, I just want to be able to read on there at least. Just tell me what they are. But what's wrong? Like, even if it's on the packaging, patients can't touch packaging until it's purchased and they have it. And so how do they know until after they buy it what they're buying? But I know it's a lot of work, especially because menus change so frequently and so fast. Hopefully one day we see that, though, because I know from my own experience in this, working in the program, that everything's tracked seed to sale. So they know it's just getting that information to transfer over. I feel like there should be some kind of like just a back end connection or something where that testing information just goes right in.
Absolutely.
But who knows? We'll see.
Well, I think it also makes, like, from a brand perspective for the different like processors and cultivators out there, I think that their products, patients are more likely to stick with their brand if they know that they can get those terpenes.
Agreed.
So I think if you don't have it, you're missing out. You should do it.
Yeah.
If patients like your products even more.
Absolutely.
Terpenes on there.
Yeah, I mean, especially the ones that patients can't really see into the containers either. Like, you have no idea. You have no idea the quality, especially on cultivate. Like myself, I don't pick when I'm looking at the menu before I go into a store, I don't pick any cultivators that I've never had before, because I don't know anything about them, or I don't know any about the quality. I don't know what kind of strains they've had, or I don't know anything about them. So the more information they provide, the more likely I'm gonna pick it out.
I got some
like
Afghan,
having the different cannabinoids like CBG and CBN, like having that list. I know actually one of the GTI products, I think one of the rhythm pens maybe had CBN in it, or they just recently had something come out with CBN in it.
We do have the Cbn gummies and chocolate bars.
Oh,
so
yeah, okay.
Berry Dream chocolate bars and gummies. Those are supposed to be. I haven't had one in a while. When I did, CBN was really good for definitely your nighttime, medication that you're going to take.
Bed.
That one first thing in the morning.
Yeah. Amanda, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that I got some, going based off the name only, Afghan Kush the other day, but couldn't smell it, couldn't see it, nothing like that. So get it, and oh my gosh, you guys, it smells like hay.
Oh,
ew.
Tastes like hay.
Oh,
So
no.
that's a bad. That's not a
not a good
I'm
profile.
going to purchase again.
No.
No.
But you have no
But
idea.
that's what you run
is.
into, and medicine costs a little bit of money for some folks, or in a spot where they need a lot of it, and they're so the discount with the 35%, especially this month, going into the veterans, and if they go into the RISE dispensaries, so that's really going to make a difference, and whatever discounts they can get, and also the reliability of the medicine with the cultivators.
Absolutely.
absolutely. I'm sorry you had a hay smelling.
Oh, that's okay. I have like
What
bunch of, I
terpenes do you
just
think
try,
make
I
that
like
up?
trying different stuff, you know? And so I was going to a few different places just to kind of see what they had. And this was just my first experience at that place. It's not that I won't go back because I got some other things that I liked. It's just that strain wasn't any, you know,
Yeah.
whatever happened with that batch was not to, you know, not
There's someone
not
out there
my
that likes
thing.
that
That's
smell.
I know
true.
it.
There's
I know
some,
it. Some people
it works well
probably
for
love
someone.
it. Yeah,
I wonder what terpenes or what profile that has that makes up a hay grassy.
a bad cure. That's what makes that.
Interesting. Good to know.
Yeah, you can have beautiful buds, but if you can't cure it or if it gets too hot or something like that, it's just gonna destroy the terpene.
Oh, yeah.
profile.
I am so naive when it comes to that. Like I've helped trim, I've like harvested, I've helped harvest, but like when it comes to the process or like what does what on the plant, I'm not a grower. I am not a green thumb. I'll say that.
Process.
It is. And it takes a special kind of experience. Like I feel like it's a certain type of experience and certain type of education that allows that. Actually, speaking of education, I know when I worked in the dispensary I used to work for one of the Rise stores, but we received all of our education as staff. We received it there. Like you guys, GTI gave us that training. We're seeing all kinds of educational programs popping up now for cannabis business and industry related things. Are you guys seeing, and we're close, and you're even closer to the Cleveland School of Cannabis. So are you guys seeing a lot of applicants coming through in the stores that have that background and that education already?
All the time. Definitely when we first opened, we were working very, very close with the Cleveland School of Cannabis. They have great programs in training. They're doing their best on bringing that hands-on training without working with the actual cannabis. They're also doing different tours with cultivators and processors to take that on-site perspective to the students. We do look for that when we're hiring. Lots of our employees have gone through there, and GT actually did a scholarship that we did send that over to the school for them to use, because it's just like any other degree certification. It costs money, so really trying to make that, if we can make a little impact on giving people some resources to get that education. But it does speak for something to have,
for sure. And that's awesome that GTI has that opportunity for their employees to take advantage of. That's so cool.
Absolutely.
So you guys have the Cleveland Cannabis Institute? Is that what I'm hearing?
School of Cannabis. Yep.
Wow. So there's a couple of places in Michigan that are dabbling in that, and some national training programs, I guess, maybe not quite as accredited or whatnot, but when did they start doing that?
Oh, geez. Say their school's been going on for 3 years now. I don't know the date.
Wow, good for them.
Yeah, and they actually expanded into the Columbus.
Yeah, I was going to say they opened a satellite location in Columbus.
So you see, like the employees that are coming to you, you feel like they're more prepared after they've gone through something, that school, that program?
I do. I feel like there's 3 different programs I believe that they offer there. But to say that, anyone that's listening who is looking to get into the industry, I do think that even those, without the Cleveland School of Cannabis education, we still do accept them. And then I think there's also something to speak from anybody who's just, maybe has been in, another state doing grows and, working. We accept all, walks of life through our door. Definitely, you don't have to have that, but it gives you that edge of expertise, and definitely goes a long way when it's on your resume to get a position within the dispensary.
That's awesome. Yeah, I followed them, and we met, Kelsey and I met somebody, one of the head women from Cleveland School of Cannabis. We met her at an event near Cleveland. she was great. Maybe we'll have her on the show one day. She can tell us more about her program, but I am happy to hear that there's more and more applicants coming through. I think that especially for bud tenders or patient care specialists is what they're called in Rise stores, that education, I mean, we were lucky enough because we were just opening, we had months of time in the classroom to prepare. But for them to come in with that education already and be able to hit the floor and have the education to be able to then educate the patients that are in front of them, that's huge.
Right.
That takes such a good learning curve out of it, because if you don't understand it, it's extremely hard to sell patients on anything.
Oh, definitely. And then, to continue that education, we do product education days with our staff, with the different cultivators and processors. So they'll come in, they usually have like a presentation deck, and they're going through how are their products made, because everyone's product is made differently.
So different.
Sure, many of them use the same techniques, but how are they creating these rosins and resins, and what kind of pesticides, if any, are being used. So giving those patient care specialists that one-on-one time to learn from these different growers and processors about these products, because they need to have that. And as new products are coming through, so like that training isn't going to be a one pager that's going to stay the same, different, products coming through the fleet constantly. But anytime that we can empower our staff to know more about the product that they're speaking to behind the counter, it's a win-win for the staff and the patients and whoever's brand that they're trying to sell to.
Exactly. Yeah, especially, I don't think people realize, I don't think Ohio patients realize, like, dispensary staff don't get discounts or samples or anything. If you're a patient and you happen to get a product for yourself, then you have some experience with it. But outside of that, it's just going on the information we're given.
Yep.
And yeah, so that's good that the staff at Rise stores are getting that that knowledge from the cultivator directly, so that they can then convey it to people. I think that's very important. So that's beneficial that that's happening.
Back in the old days, before the seed to sale, we would be able to give.
I'm very interested.
The old days. So
Back
we
in
would
my
be
day.
able to. We gave people, a nightly gram. So whatever they, it wasn't seed to sale, so you could absorb the cost or whatever you wanted to do as a company. There weren't the same tools available, right? So there weren't the same learning tools available back then as what there are now. But I thought, it was very important for people to understand what it is they're trying to sell to the patients. And so bringing those vendors in to teach them how they're being, these things are being processed, what exactly it is, the, chemicals and pesticides, like you said, Kali, I think that's really great.
Oh yeah. And
in lieu of being able to give them a sample, I mean, I'm sure they would love that instead. And they got to pick out like whatever they wanted. So if there was a brand new strain or something, it was always good, Yeah. And some people didn't want the new strain. Some people just stuck with the same old thing they always got.
Really?
They just liked that. Yes, they didn't want to try the other things, which was fine, but
see, but I feel like if you're doing that for the purpose of,
they got excited about the product and everybody to share.
That's awesome.
I want to go back to the old days.
Yeah, I want to be in the old days. I want to be in those days. I tell my mom all the time, I was born in the wrong decade.
Yes. So the old days were awesome. It was before the state had so much regulation, but of also, course it's come to that. That's what we all voted for. And, we wanted it to be available to everybody. And this is the process we have to go through in order to get it there.
For sure. And I think it's definitely, it's not like there's not pros to the regulations that have taken place or that have gone in place, but things were easier then.
The differences.
Right.
Way easier in some regards.
I know.
But you were constantly stressed out, I mean, it was a stressful period of time. You got like local approval, but state approval wasn't really a thing.
Oh, you mean as far as like getting rated?
Yeah, I mean, it just, things were different. It wasn't a seed to sale, and it wasn't a state licensing process. There was a local licensing process. So you were really at the mercy of, correctional task force, city intervention, if they changed or if they got links from the name.
That's crazy. Yeah, we've got a lot of room. There's a lot of room for growth. There's a lot of improvements and policy changes that still need to take place, but I think we're heading in the right direction. And I think that hearing that stores and dispensary staff are on the same page of wanting to bridge the gap for patients between the doctors and the store, I think that's a huge thing, because I think that's the piece that's missing still. And even in states that have been going for years, I think that there's not that there's not articles, not that there's not research and blogs and stuff out there, but it's getting the information to the people that aren't doing the research themselves. It's getting the information in front of the people so that they can take it, but they don't have to seek it. So yeah, I applaud all the efforts that are being made, Kali, on your end, and all the things you're doing to help move everything forward. And I'm excited to see what's next for you guys, and to participate and be involved in any way that we can.
It's going to take it's a group effort. We're all in it for the right reasons. And I think we all have to use our resources and our following and our, whatever we can to make a difference. And there's a lot of us that work in the industry that are patients. So we have those same, feelings, and we're trying to advocate. And I think the best thing, and like the advice that I could say, is you got to speak up. Like, we got to get these concerns into the board's hands. Like, can't just sit and complain about them at 6 o'clock after work to our other friends. Like, we got to take action and do something about it, and raise those concerns, and just keep pushing and advocating.
Yeah, I think I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that happens so often. Like, I get patients all the time that call into the doctor's office and have all these complaints about the program and this, that, or whatever. And all I can say is, like, at least we have it. At least we have the access, and sure, there's ways that we can improve. And I think that's one thing. And I used to say it to patients all the time in the dispensary, you can very easily get on the board's website and submit your feedback. They have a feedback form that you can do right on the website. You don't have to call. You don't have to send a personalized email. Like, there's a contact form where you can go on and just solely give feedback on the program. Just go do that. That's all they want to hear. From what I gather, they want to make improvements. They want to keep working with patients and moving things forward, but they only know what they know, and they only know what is submitted to them. They don't seek out everybody's complaints on Facebook. They don't seek out feedback from anywhere. Like, if you send it to them and it's sent through their designated place for it, they're going to read it.
It's getting into the right person's hands.
Yeah. So I always try to tell people that they do have that option available. Just got to take the step to do it. You got to send it to the right person, not just putting it out in the universe. So
absolutely.
I'm glad that you brought that up. Well, thank you for chatting with us. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to touch base on. I know you teased your next 2 events, but where can people follow or find out more about Rise here in Ohio, or GTI across the country?
Yeah, you can check out more about GTI at gtigrows.com. And then our Ohio specific website for our dispensaries is ohio.risecannabis.com. And you can also follow us at Ohio Rise Dispensaries on Instagram. And if you want to tune into those links, go to Eventbrite and you'll be able to find those as well. We'd love to have as many participants as we can to learn just about the different programs we're offering.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being on here. And I know you pitched the GTI Grows website, and with the Grow coming online in the next year or so, are you guys going to be hiring staff?
Oh yeah, go to GTI Grows.
Okay.
That's where you'll find on the people page. there's going to be so many jobs coming up. I know that there's some jobs that they're currently already looking for that would be more in like management level to operations, run the grow, but we're going to need a lot of hands on deck to grow this beautiful flower and get it out to our patients, delivery drivers, trimmers, you name it. We're going to need lots of people to help. So definitely, if you're interested in getting into the industry and looking specifically in cultivation, check out gtigrows.com.
Excellent. I will link all of your links and websites in the show notes of everywhere, so that will all be available to everybody. But thank you again for joining us. I can't wait.
Thank you. It was great to meet you.
Definitely be
You too,
at the
Amanda.
Cozy Incredibles event. That sounds awesome. So
Yes, bring your favorite hot chocolate, tea, or coffee, and tune in, get cozy, and learn about Incredibles.
that sounds fun. I'm gonna bring my
Thanks for
dogs.
having
I might even tune in. I mean, I'm thinking
Yeah.
seriously to tune in. I'm not even in Ohio.
Absolutely. That's all right.
We do have Incredibles in Florida, so
There you go.
you can learn
Oh,
something.
no kidding.
We do.
They're so
Okay.
good. I highly
Yeah,
recommend their
okay,
brand.
I'm going to tune in then.
They're one of my
Awesome.
favorite edible brands. Stop
Hey,
it.
ladies, thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to this CannaConversation. To learn more, please follow us on Instagram at Midwest_CannaConcierge. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen, so other Canna curious folk can find us. We really appreciate your support.